Hi everyone, my name is Phil and welcome to Phil Does 3D. I'm a multimedia and 3D artist and I stream live on Twitch on Mondays and Tuesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time in the United States, which is 10 a.m. in Australia or 1 a.m. if you're in the UK. And as always, if you miss the live streams, you can watch the catch-up streams on a Friday and Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific time in the US, which is 7 a.m. in Australia or 10 p.m. in the UK. Smurfberry Barbecue, it's good to see you, buddy. How are you? Did you have a good weekend? Been doing any 3D work? I hope all you guys and girls are well. Beck, it's good to see you as well, Beck. How are you? Did you have a good weekend? Have you guys all seen, I know Smurfberry's seen the new Avengers movie, but it's been so long. It has, Beck. How's the game going? I'm going really well, thanks for asking. Yep, no, everything's good. Busy as usual, but story of my life. How's the game going though, Beck? For anyone that doesn't know, Beck is making a game. Smurfberry Barbecue says, no, I'm eyeballing camera hardware for photogrammetry and textures and stuff. Well, that's great news. I'm glad all you guys and girls are getting into photogrammetry because it's a really cool thing to be doing and it'll save you a heap of time too if you need to make 3D models. And Beck, thank you for the sub. I do appreciate it. That's awesome of you. So thank you, Beck, for subbing to Phil Does 3D. I really, really, really do appreciate it. So thanks. Beck says, game is great. Had a break due to uni, but yeah, well, that's okay. It's cool. Like I said to you guys, if you're not feeling it, don't push it because, you know, you're not going to make good work if you don't feel like doing it. Particularly if it's your own personal project stuff where you don't have a deadline or a manager sort of beating on your desk saying, give it to me now. That sounds a bit rude, doesn't it? Yeah, so if you don't feel it, don't do it. As simple as that. Spec says 6 months, damn, that's long. Yeah, it is long. You've been subbed for 6 months now. Yep. You're awesome, and that is a long time to be subbed. And I do appreciate it too. I do appreciate it when you guys do sub to the channel, so thank you very much. Smurfberry says, my old point and shoot is too noisy. Yeah, now, we've spoken about cameras and photogrammetry before, and, you know, the higher the megapixel count on the camera, the better the result will be. Smurfberry, I think, is talking about getting a mirrorless camera, which will help with noise in your image. But they are expensive. They are very expensive. At least in this country, you're looking at a couple of grand for a Sony mirrorless, as an example. There are other mirrorless cameras as well. Smurfberry says, dude, so does that sound expensive to you, Smurfberry? It's Australia, where everything costs a lot more to buy here than you guys in the US, particularly electronic stuff. It's always more expensive. Which, you know, considering most of the electronics now are made in China and we're closer to China than the US is, I don't know. I don't know how these companies work out their prices, but it always ends up being much more expensive in this country. Smurfberry says Amazon is flooded with counterfeit polarizing filters. Amazon is flooded with a lot of counterfeit product, I'm afraid. I know I think they're trying to get on top of it all, but yeah, there's a lot of counterfeit stuff going around. Generally, it's been Alibaba, that Chinese company that's been notorious for selling counterfeit product. Well, they don't sell it, but they supply the people that sell on their website do. And I know it's been a problem for Amazon as well on occasion. Smurfberry says Amazon is driving me insane trying to find which one I should buy. So Amazon give you a recommendations list, like, you know how you've got, they sort of number them from 1 to 100 in popularity and all that sort of stuff. Maybe use that as a guide to help you. I would never rely on Amazon's reviews to make a decision anyway. There've been stories about companies sending free products to people to get a good review on Amazon for their products. So basically they send you, let's use the camera in this example, they'll send you the camera for nothing, or they'll say to you, I'll deposit the money in your account for the value of the camera, you purchase the camera from Amazon and you write me a good review and then you can keep the camera. That sort of thing. So it's sort of like review stuffing, I guess you could call it. So don't rely on Amazon reviews alone. I always do my research on many websites if I'm going to buy anything expensive regarding electronics. Smurfberry says it's driving me insane trying to find which one I should buy, and Beck says Amazon is great if you can find the right thing. Yeah, well, they do have a lot of products there for you to choose from on Amazon. Huge amount of products. I do love Amazon. I buy a lot of stuff through Amazon. I'm just going to grab a drink while I talk. Yes, I do buy a lot of stuff from Amazon. I am a Prime member, so I can get free shipping and all that sort of stuff, which helps because shipping can become expensive too, depending on how big the product is. Smurfberry says, to anyone with money who is watching this stream, I'll happily review your expensive electronics if you send direct deposit the value of the item for me to make the purchase. Smurfberry. You're a sellout, Smurfberry, aren't you? You're a sellout. You'll give anything a good review if you get it for free. Which is the way most people are, I guess. You gotta be careful though if you're a social influencer, as they say, whatever that means, and you try and flog a product saying how great it is without revealing that you've actually been paid for the review or got the product for free. You can fall foul of the law, at least in this country. Beck is asking how my Easter was. I haven't been here for a few weeks. It was good. I took Easter off. I wasn't streaming. I wasn't working. I normally do work over Easter for the studio, and I normally stream over Easter as well, but I didn't do that this year. I decided that life is too short to spend it constantly working, and that's because a friend of mine is very sick at the moment. So it sort of puts perspective on life when you're reminded just how fragile life actually can be. So anyway, I took Easter off, but apart from that, it was good. I didn't do anything. I tried to sleep in, but as I told the guys on the Discord server, I still managed to get up at 6:30 every morning, even on holiday. I don't know why. I just can't help myself. But I didn't do any work. Is that true? Did I do any work? I didn't do any 3D work. How about that? Didn't do any 3D work, but it was good. How was your Easter? Didn't get too sick? Didn't eat too much chocolate? All that sort of stuff? Smurfberry says, I never said it would be a good review. That's the condition that they say. You must give them a good review, but I guess once you've got the money in the camera, then they can't really hold you to account, can they? Smurfberry says, wait, strike that. I never said it would be a positive review. And Smurf says it'll be good through one. Beck says 6:30. Yeah, I know. That's what time I normally get up. Like, I generally go to bed at about 2 or 3 a.m. maybe, depending on my workload. And then I generally always seem to get up at 6:30. I don't know why. So I have about 3 to 4 hours sleep, do some work, have some lunch, feel tired and go to bed and have a nap for about an hour, and then get up and do it all again. So yeah, stupid me. It's early. I know it's early. I just can't help myself. I seem to just, as soon as the sun comes up, my eyes open up. Weird. I never used to be like that. When I was younger, I used to sleep till midday. And mind you, I used to go out partying until 6 in the morning prior to that. But as I've gotten older, I get up earlier. Beck says, you bet I eat chocolate. I love that. So I love chocolate too, but I can't eat it because I completely break out in pimples that, Yeah, I look like a pubescent 14-year-old boy who's covered in pimples. I can't understand why at my age I still get pimples. But chocolate, it seems to only be chocolate that does it. But I did cheat. I had some chocolate cake over Easter, but no chocolate. But chocolate cake. And I did break out. I did get a pimple. It's gone now, but I did get one. I don't know why. It's very annoying. I love chocolate, but I can't eat it. What are we doing? We are working on the Temple of the Winds that you see right in front of you. We're at the texturing stage now, where we're taking it into bits and pieces into Substance Painter to start doing some texturing. We were working on the columns last week, and we're going to continue because I just want to do one more version of the textures for the columns so that we have some variety and not every texture looks identical, like you can see here at the moment. If I can get into shot where Max, there we go. So this texture looks like this texture, so people will notice that we're repeating the same texture over and over again. So I'm going to create one more version, and then what we can do is we can just rotate the columns a little bit so people won't notice that the same two textures are being used over and over. We made a couple of changes to the texture. I wanted to add some gold because the temple needs a bit more bling. It's a temple, it needs gold. So I'm going to be adding a little bit of gold to borders on these pieces up here as well, once we've finished the columns. Beck says, damn, that sucks. Do you know if it's something in the chocolate? I don't know. I've never actually sort of looked into it too much, had it diagnosed. I don't know what it is. It's just chocolate that does it. Just chocolate. Like, I can consume gallons of soft drinks and any other sort of sweet, but if I eat chocolate, I'll break out. I don't know why. And like I said, a good example was the chocolate cake I did have over Easter. I got a pimple from that. Just one. If I'd eaten chocolate like chocolate Easter eggs, I would have had like at least 10 pimples all over my face. 10 pimples all over my face probably. So as much as I love it, I can't have it. Which is probably a good thing. We all eat too much sugar in our lives. At least that's what they tell us. Too much salt, too much sugar. And probably they say too much meat, but I'm not giving up meat. Look at that. I love the meat too much. I love bacon and steak and anything to do with meat. Always have, always will. Never going to give it up. Not going to become vegan, I'm afraid. Couldn't do it. But I had to give up the chocolate. Beck says, good old bacon. That's right. Everybody loves the bacon, don't they? Well, maybe not if you're Jewish, I guess, but everybody else. And yeah, no, I love bacon. Love it, love it, love it, love it. But it's so bad for you. It's so bad for you. Because of all the fat in it. It's so bad for you. But it's so tasty. Nothing beats bacon and eggs. Beck, you posted in the Discord. I see a work in progress of a AI that fears light system. Made in UE4 and was pretty much a random idea that popped into my mind. Works well, I think. Do remember, guys and girls, you can join the Discord server if you have not already and you're watching my channel. There's a link right there for an invite. I encourage everyone to join the Discord simply because everyone can post links to their work in the Discord. There's a section you can post to your portfolio or your art station. There's folio and there's a tutorials and tips section where the users have posted really useful and interesting videos and tips for doing 3D or working in a game engine, all that sort of stuff. Because only subs can post links in Twitch chat. So don't post a link in my Twitch chat unless you're a sub to my channel, but everyone can post a link in Discord. That's why I encourage everyone to join the Discord server as well. I'm just going to copy this link that Beck has popped in the Discord server. If you want to know more about me too, you're new to my channel, you can go to phildoes3d.com and you can read up about me there. You can go to my art station, my YouTube, my Twitter, all that sort of stuff. You can look at my gallery, all that sort of thing. If you want. Come on. There we go. No. You're being very temperamental. Why would I not copy my link? Copy link. Paste and go. Why is that? What's going on? What sort of link is this, Beck? Oh, okay, it wants me to download it. It's a video file, I'm assuming. Where did you post this to? It's just a video file. Yeah, okay. I'll have a look at it. I will check it out. So this is an AI that fears light. Cool. That's cool, actually. That's really cool. So as soon as the light shined on the character, the AI moves away. That's very cool. Yeah, no, that's very cool. Very cool, Beck. Weren't you working on some sort of space game the last time I spoke to you, though, I thought? Or am I mixing you up with someone else, in which case I apologise. I'm just curious as to... tell everyone in the chat exactly what the sort of game you're working on is, Beck. If you want. You don't have to. But that looks very cool. What are you doing? What are you doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? I'm texturing, that's right. Beck says, yeah, I do work on a space project. Okay, but I did work on this for a test. But yeah, space game is cool. Working on land vehicles at the moment. Well, that sounds very cool. I thought it was a space game. I thought I was right. I'm glad I was right. I haven't been before. I've actually complimented the wrong people on their work that they've posted in Discord before. Oh dear. So I'm glad I got it right. I think it was only last week that I made that mistake about saying how great somebody's work was, and it wasn't their work. Anyway, you got to forgive me. Particularly if I mispronounce your usernames, because I'm terrible with that. Everybody that is a regular on my channel will know just how terrible I am at trying to pronounce some usernames. It's not your username, it's my brain. Alright, let's send one of these columns through. So we've done column 1, we're going to send through column 2. Column new 1. Column new and column new 1, that'll do. Beck says some people's Twitch names are crazy. They are. They are absolutely crazy. I mean, I get it. Everyone wants to be creative with their username, so I understand that. What trips me up is when people start to use numbers as part of their username. For some reason, that trips up my brain. Anyway, that's just me, though. It's not the fault of anyone else. It's just my fault. My brain's fault. I'm just going to... So this is column 1 new. That was the one we sent through. I'm going to call this column 2 new, just so I can not get confused. Because we did do the columns before, but I'm touching them up at the moment, so I want to make sure that when I do the export here, I don't get mixed up as to which column is which. Let's open up Substance Integrator, Exporter, whatever you want to call it. Send to Substance Painter, they call it. I didn't make it. Let's send this to Substance Painter. It's always going to complain because I use a custom template. Only complains the first time though. Beck says that's a thing. It is a thing. It's probably not. It used to be really fashionable, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, to put numbers in usernames. It's less fashionable now. So let that be a lesson to everyone. If you want to make a username that you want to last, unless it's like Phil does 3D. There's a 3 in my name, but that's because it's 3D. So unless it's for a reason like that, try and avoid putting numbers in your usernames, because that sort of fashion comes and goes. But if you want to keep your username for a long period of time, it's going to start to look a bit dated. Beck says, I might need to get that. Smurfberry Barbecue says, Sniper, I can see it's Sniper Echo, but only because I'm familiar with Sniper Echo. But yeah, that's a very good example there, Smurfberry Barbecue. of what I'm talking about, people using numbers instead of letters, and which was very popular a few years ago. Beck says, I was referring to the 3DS substance. Yeah, no, that's fine. If there's a number regarding something like, say, 3D, that's cool. It's more an example of like what Smurfer has just popped into chat there, where he's spelt out Sniper Echo using numbers. The backwards 3 for an E and all that sort of stuff, that was really popular years ago. Less popular now. So that sort of thing really will date your username pretty quickly. But hey, if that's what you want to do, it's your username. You do what you want, guys and girls. Like, far be it from me to try and tell you how to live your life. I'll make your username. Let's start by baking these textures out. I'm going to bake them out in 2K. And bake all texture sets, because there are two. There's one for the column and one for the top and the bottom. So yeah, don't worry, Beck. No, 3DS, all that sort of stuff, that's still good. It's all good still. If there's a reason for the number to be there, then that's fine. Alright, that is baked out, that is good. Now we did create smart materials, so we can load those up to save a little bit of time, but they are smart materials that I made. Well, that I mixed. I didn't make the substances, but they're not the smart materials that come with the program. Beck says, didn't color ID? No, I didn't color ID. I should. That's a better way to do it. Keep everything in one texture map. Beck says, using texture sets instead. Yeah, again, I'm not... Well, my original plan here was not... I'm going to be selling this model on my website. So, I was never concerned with the number of texture maps so much. It's meant to go to be used as a render in an image, not to actually go into a game engine or anything. Having said that, because I'm planning on turning the House in the Hollow, the cinematic we made in UE4, into a game, and I need to have some other areas, this model might be actually a good model for another area in the game. So yeah, we'll see how we go. It was never intended to go into the game, but I may put it in. We still need to do an optimization pass on that level anyway, so... Not like we don't have heaps of other stuff we got to optimize for the game, so we might as well do it all at the same time. Sniper Girl, it's good to see you, Sniper Girl. Did you have a good weekend? And I did see the stuff you posted on the Discord server, which was very nice. The dragon render, and you also posted the rock. So you did go out and look at and photograph the rock, Sniper Girl. Oh, was this another rock? Oh, is this the rock in front of the studio that you were going to do photogrammetry on? I'm just curious. So I did see that. That looks very cool. And I see you're doing some freelance work, doing some poly reduction for someone, which is looking very cool as well on a building. Nice. Beck says, I'm always in game engines, so I guess working with less texture sets, it is better. Look, don't get me wrong. The fewer the texture sets, the fewer the draw calls, the faster your game will run. That's the way it works. So it's always a good idea to have as few textures as possible to speed up, to reduce the amount of draw calls. So that's a great thing. When I made the House in the Hollow, though, I was only ever making it as a cinematic, which meant I didn't really care about the number of draw calls because it was never meant to be run really in real time. It was going to be saved out for a cinematic. But now, where I'm turning it into a game, I'm going to have to go through and optimize it. So yeah, my bad. But that's a good way to work back. Sniper Girl says, we could simplify it and put it in the game. It shouldn't be a problem. We'd just have to make a material atlas and would be good. And again, for anyone that's not familiar what a material atlas is, that's just where you put all your textures on one material sheet. So say you've got a model that's got 5 or 6 different textures. You place all of those textures on one image, and that's called an atlas, which means then the draw call is 1 instead of those 5 different textures, sort of thing. So yes, it's used a lot in HTML5 games, like, you know, if you're making a game that you want to be able to play in a browser, or that sort of thing. The sprite sheets, they call them sprite sheets, or atlases. They're used a lot for that as well. Although I did read, because I haven't installed a new version of the Unreal Engine yet, I'm going to have to do that soon before we start working on the House in the Hollow again. But I read in 4.2.2 that they'd made some optimization to asset management. So I'm interested to see what that's like in the new version of UE4. Now, as well as DirectX 12, because with DirectX 12 can handle a lot more draw calls than DirectX 11, so it speeds up the draw call problem quite a bit. And when I say it can handle a lot more draw calls, DirectX 12, than DirectX 11. But you are correct, Sniper Girl, an atlas would be a good idea. Sniper Girl says, yeah, weekend was good and productive, doing all freelance currently. Well, that's good. Freelance is great. I love freelance work. You can choose the projects you want to work on. If you don't like the project, you don't take it on. So unlike working for a studio where they tell you what you must work on, doing freelancing, you can pick and choose, pretty much. And only do the stuff you like or you're interested in, or that pays well, whatever your motivation for doing freelancing is. Sniper Girl says it's the one in front of the studio. Cool. Well, you did want to do it and you did it. You did a good job, so that's cool. And I really like the idea that you said that you did it for your friend. Pardon me. That's very cool. Making a small memento for your friend. You're so nice, Sniper Girl. See, she pretends to be mean, but she's really nice. Beck says, I just saw that building you did for that indie studio. I'm assuming he's speaking to Sniper Girl. Where the hell did they find that model? Sniper Girl says, literally knocked the poly count down by half on the one building. And Sniper Girl says to Beck was 270,000, knocked it down to 135,000. Could go lower if they allowed me. If they allowed me to atlas it. They want to use the original textures, so I probably can't reduce it any lower than that. Beck says, damn, that's insane. Sniper Girl says, there's 5 more buildings that came in the pack. All of them are that bad. Smurfery says, yees. And Beck says, do you know where they bought it from? Yeah, I don't know either. Actually, I was looking at the building and it does look familiar. I have seen it before. I'm pretty sure I've seen it before. I can't quite remember where though. And I could be wrong. So your poly reduction's pretty good. You got it below half of what it was. There comes a point, it depends on how much detail they want to put in the game. Because, you know, you can take poly counts way down, but then the game starts to suffer. The look of the game starts to suffer for it. So my plan for the House in the Hollow is, while I am going to do some poly reduction on some assets, not all the assets need it, but some do. But I'm not going to take them too low where it starts to compromise the look of the asset, because I want the game to look next generation. I want it to you know, I don't want to... I'm not aiming for the game to be runnable on like a graphics card from 10 years ago sort of thing, which a lot of games companies... I won't say a lot, but some games companies do that because they want it to be people that have really low-end hardware to be able to play the game. While I'd like for people with low-end hardware to play the game, that's not my main priority for the game. It's going to be, I want the game to look a certain way. I'm not going to compromise on the quality of the assets or the poly counts just so it can play on really low-end hardware. So, yep. Just sort of point that out. But we are going to be doing some optimization though. Smurfery says it's a sealed building. It looked like there wasn't any pipe showing. Is it a sealed building? It looked like there wasn't any pipe showing. Smurfberry says it reminds me of the kit bash buildings. Yeah, that's I think where I've seen it. I've seen it in some sort of kit bash, I think, but I'm not sure where. Yeah, I'm not sure where. Sniper Girl says, honestly, I have no idea, to be honest. A friend of mine asked me to reduce it and said they'd had to use the original materials. Well, I think you've done a good job of doing a reduction. And having said that, because you see how big the building is in on the Discord server there in the images, that's a large asset. If that's going in a game engine, that's going to be large and in charge in front of the player. So you really can't take it too low. It's going to be a major focal point in the game, very large in front of the player. Depending on even third person, first person, it's still going to be a large building. So yeah, you got to be careful not to reduce poly counts too much on big things. Beck says there are many old kits out there which are either bad or outdated. Well, that's true too. There are. There are a lot of old kits out there. I'm just going to load up my smart materials that I created for this column. There is two, my column 1, my column 2. This is the one we want. This is the tile, I believe. Yes, it is. We're going to make some adjustments here. I'm going to line up the tile a little bit better so that we don't have so much of an overlap happening. Or is that, might actually be not too, oh no, there, okay. Let's find where that material is, and it's going to be this one, yes, this one. And we're just going to change the offset a little bit. So it better lines up. It's so fiddly, these little sliders are so fiddly. Let's do it by hand. Sniper Girl says, no, sadly they just want it as a background asset. Game is a football game and the building is a building in the backdrop. Oh, okay. Honestly wish I was allowed to atlas it and do it properly, but you know. Yeah, I know, Sniper Girl, I know. I know what you're saying. Beck says, background for a football game, that thing could be literally 5K. Yeah, actually, if it's a background image object, they probably could take it down more. I was assuming it was going to be made like a hero asset inside of a game, but if it's a background object, it's their game though. If they don't want it reduced anymore, then there's not much Sniper Girl can do about it, I'm afraid. If you're wondering what I'm doing here, I'm trying to get this to line up with this line here, to line up with that tile line. And it's really fiddly. There we go. Are we lined up? I think we are. Yeah, I think we're lined up. That should be good. All right. Sniper Girl says had to use the original material, so yeah. Beck says insane what people ask for these days. You'd have to keep in mind though too, guys, graphics cards now are so powerful. I mean, they're much more powerful than consoles, even the new PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One X. The graphics cards, even mid-range graphics cards from Nvidia and AMD that we put in our PCs now, are so much more powerful than those consoles. Because those consoles came out like, 6 years ago or something. And technology in the graphics card industry moves so quickly that today's graphics cards are much, much more powerful than consoles. So if they're targeting that market, if they're targeting a PC market, then they can afford to push their poly counts up. Oh, that's the other reason with the House in the Hollow, because the game is not going to be released on consoles. I don't have to worry about dumbing it down for the console generation. Sorry if any of you are console fans. I'm a PC gamer, PC Master Race gamer. So I'm not. That's the other reason I'm not so concerned about poly counts so much. Smurpery says console peasants. That's right, console peasants. You got it in one. Having said that, I do own two. I have owned consoles. I haven't bought a PS4 or an Xbox One X because I'm a PC gamer. But I do own two Xbox 360s. They're sitting in a cupboard and they're gathering dust as we speak. So I have played console games. The main reason I bought the 360s was because I was working on the studio I was working at, the game studio. We were making games for the 360 and the PS3. So I wanted to test some stuff out at home and play the game after it had been released and all that sort of stuff that we were working on. That's the only reason. And they went back into the cupboard, like I said, straight after, and they haven't been touched since. Sniper Girl says, was told that I can use the buildings in personal projects and on portfolio. Well, cool, but just let me say this. If you're doing contract work for someone, it is very unlikely or unusual for them to say to you, I don't want you to put it in your portfolio. It's pretty much a given. And I actually write that into all of the contracts that I do for freelance work, where I stipulate I will use this in my portfolio. I'll use images of this in my portfolio. I won't resell the model because I'm making it for you, but I have the right to use it in my portfolio. So I make that a legal agreement because I don't want to work on something, particularly if I like the project or if I'm interested in what I'm making, which I probably am if I've taken on the job to begin with freelance. I want to be able to use it in my portfolio. So that's a cool idea. Sniper Girl says, thinking of making a separate version myself, looking at getting a digital camera when I get my taxes. Photogrammetry a lot of the buildings in Chicago, and making materials for the buildings and possibly scale the buildings. Sounds like a good plan. Smurpery Barbecue. I told you, I always get snipers and Smurperies mixed up. Smurpery Barbecue says, although even with my beefy GPU, I'm always paranoid with my polygons. Well, no, it's a good idea. Look, I don't suggest you waste polygons or waste draw calls. That's never a good thing. That's not what I'm saying. You should always strive to make the most efficient model for the project that you're working on. So the most efficient model for whatever it is that you're putting it into. That's a great way to work. Always the best way to work. I'm not suggesting you just throw caution to the wind and not care. You should care. I'm just trying to say that modern graphics cards now, you can throw many more polygons around on the screen than you used to be able to. Sniper Girl says, at that point I'd changed pretty much everything. Smurpery says, yeah, saw that when I was agonizing over the triangle count of that blue and red plant. And yeah, that's the other thing too, because you don't want to compromise the model by taking it too low. You don't want to destroy the beauty of the model by making it too low poly. I see that a lot, actually, particularly in game stuff that people make. They reduce the poly count so low that it ends up looking like Minecraft, that sort of blocky looking modeling. And that's not pretty. I mean, it's pretty for Minecraft because that's the style. But you don't want to reduce your polys too much in your game to make it look ugly. At least I don't. Later, Beck. Yes, see, you got to go, Beck. No problem. Closing in on 2 a.m. and I got a uni assignment in tomorrow. Good night, Beck. You have a great night's sleep. Thanks for hopping in and being here, and thanks again for the sub. I really do appreciate it. Good luck with your assignment tomorrow, Beck. You have a good night's sleep. Sniper Girl says, wouldn't say too much about consoles. According to the news, PS5 is coming out next year and it's going to be a beast. I did read that. I read that the PS5 and the The new Xbox as well, whatever they're calling that, who knows what Microsoft are calling that, is due to be released next year. So that'll mark about a 7-year cycle for the current gen consoles, I guess, if you follow that sort of thing. But it probably will be a beast, a Sniper Girl, but it's still not going to be up to as fast as modern graphics cards, because NVIDIA are going to release a new card next year, and that'll be even faster. So the PC is always ahead of the console generation as far as graphics performance goes. It always has been. Consoles are good because you can get multi-core CPUs with a good graphics card when they're just released, the new consoles, for much less than you could buy an equivalent PC with those specs. So, you know, say it costs you $500 to buy the new console. To get that same power on a PC at that time that the console was released would probably cost double that, about $1,000. So that's why consoles are so attractive to people to game on, because it's a cheaper way to game than buying the hardware on a PC. Having said that, 12 months after the console has been released, then you could buy a PC for the same amount of money. You know, the same speed for the same amount of money. And then a year after that again, so 2 years into the console cycle, then you can double your speed by buying it on PC then compared to the console. Roughly, that's how it works out. That's why I generally upgrade my graphics cards every 2 to 3 years, whereas my CPU, I only upgraded recently to a new CPU. Prior to that, I'd had my CPU for about 6 years. So every 6 years on the CPU, because they just don't get that fast anymore with new generations, and every 2 to 3 years for my GPU. Because the GPU is what gives you the best bang for your buck, so to speak. I think this is the rusty gold. Yes, it is. Good. And we're going to do an overpaint here because we have to distress the edges. I lined that up. That's good. I do just want to make a couple of paint changes to this column as well, but we'll do that after we do the gold, like we did with the other column. So we're going to start by distressing the edges. What have we got? So what's going on here? Sniper says, I bet it'll have a whopping 6 gig of VRAM. Sniper Girl. Sniper Girl says, only know that they're looking at having real-time ray tracing on their video cards. Yeah, I read that too, Sniper Girl. AMD, that is. They're thinking of putting real-time ray tracing in the next video cards they release, or the consoles will anyway. Sniper says it'll be almost as good as a computer from 4 years ago. Sniper Girl says, and rumour is that they're going to use SATA drives with faster transfer rates than most PCs. Well, that will be, if they're using SATA drives, that I don't know how they're going to do that, because I guess if they're making the chipset, they probably maybe could. I use an NVMe drive though, so SATA speeds are not a problem for the PC, my PC anyway. You know, I get 3200 megabytes a second read, and I think it's about 2500 megabytes a second write, so I don't have a problem with any slowdown on SATA. And I use an M.2 NVMe drive, yeah. Mercury says M.2 drives, maybe, yeah, though that's not SATA, it's a real speed beast, yeah. M.2 is not SATA, it's direct PCIe lines, so it's not going through SATA. Actually, generally what happens with a PC is when you actually install an M.2 drive, it disables, or it can disable, a couple of your SATA ports. Thank you, Intel. Yeah, no, I'm sure it will be. The new generation consoles are always beasts, but still not compared to a PC. PC is always going to be faster. Always. That's why they call it the PC Master Race, because the hardware and stuff is always faster. But I'm sure it's going to be cool. I'm just going to turn off that top layer so we can work just with the gold at the moment. And I'm going to add a paint layer. No, I don't want to add a generator. I want to add paint layer. Smurfberry says they should call it X-Bucks. Very clever. X-Bucks, I like it. The other thing too is games. I've always found if you buy a game for a console, it's always more expensive than buying a game for a PC. The same game, you know, Call of Duty, let's say, not that I ever played Call of Duty. You buy Call of Duty on the console, it costs you more than buying Call of Duty on the PC. Whoa. So yeah, it generally works out to be more expensive buying games for consoles than on PCs as well. Another good reason to be a PC gamer. Smurfberry says one of the things that is working against Sony and Microsoft is the lead time that it takes to design a system like that. Yeah. They have to lock in the hardware choices as much as 2 to 3 years before shipping the console to market. Because they have to do loads of integration and stability testing, make dev kits to release to studios months before the public release. That's right. And the companies like AMD need time to ramp up their production too. So that all has to be locked in ahead of time, so that when they do a release, they've got enough consoles for people to buy. So you are correct. That is the other reason that it's always going to be, they're always going to be behind the PC curve. Smurfberry says, or at least that's how it was with the PS3 and 4 and the Xbox 360 one generation. The cycle may have shortened now. It may be shorter, but it's still going to be, they're still going to need lead time. Smurfberry says, so the hardware was already behind PC on day one. Yeah, that's very true. You don't want to buy a console. You want to buy a PC, guys and girls, because not only can you game on it, you can do useful stuff on it as well. For instance, what we're doing now, where you can make 3D, you can't do that on a console. That's the other reason I've never really understood why people want consoles, because you're only limited to gaming on them. You can't do anything else. Which to me seems like a waste. Smurfberry says, LOL, we're all biased here as hell because we're all on the content production. That's true. That is true. We are biased because we do content production. That is very true. I'm sure there people. Let's do a pro for the consoles. One of the pros is you don't have the compatibility issues that you can have with PCs. You know, drivers, all that sort of stuff, your operating system, all that sort of thing is not an issue on a console. You can just put the disc in and press play. Not saying that you never have problems with a console game, because sometimes you do, but you can have more problems with PCs. So that's a con for the consoles. A pro. Con. A pro for the consoles. Smurfberry says, I need much RAM. All in caps there. And I do too. That's right. You want to do content creation on a PC, you need a lot of RAM. Which is good now because RAM is coming down in price again. It got very expensive for a while there, RAM. Like a year or so ago, it was getting quite expensive because there was a RAM shortage and all the RAM was being bought up to be used in phones and stuff. Or all of the fabrication plants that make RAM were making RAM for phones and not for not general PCs, which pushed the price of RAM up. So the more RAM, the better. And it is coming down in price again now. Sniper Girl says, the Smurfberry true? Sniper Girl says yes and no. I mean, now there's the Xbox and Xbox One and PS4 and PS4 Pro. That's true. That's two different sets of hardware that they have to design their games for. They're supposed to be compatible though. One is just a beefier version than the other. I haven't done any console games development for a while, so I can't say for sure whether there's much of a difference in the development, whether things have to be done differently. If there is, I imagine it wouldn't be a huge difference because games publishers, games designers, studios don't want more work. So if it's going to take more work, then they just won't code for the other console. So yeah, it'll be against Microsoft's best interest to make things too different. And that's why, like, you know, the new game, the PS4 and the Xbox One can play old Xbox 360 games because they want to encourage everyone to upgrade. They don't want to lock out people that bought the Xbox 360, all those games they bought for that. So they made it compatible, backwards compatible. Selfless One, hello to you too, Selfless. How are you? How was your weekend? Did you have a good weekend? It's good to see you, Selfless. Sniper Girl says, well, 4.2 of hardware for Xbox and 2 different for PS4. Yeah, Xbox, they did. They went a bit nuts with their releases, didn't they? Because there was the original Xbox and the One S and then the X and yeah. What I'm most excited about with new consoles is when they release a new console, it pushes the graphics level up, which then flows on to everybody else, because game studios generally, if they release for a console and a PC, while they do give us PC gamers the option of upping our graphics, which is nice, which consoles don't do, it still helps to push the graphical level a bar again for everybody else on PC gaming, which is nice, because we all want, you know, our games to be getting better and better. So that's one good thing about consoles. They do push the graphics level up and up and up. Not just the graphics level, like, you know, the AI and all that sort of stuff as well. Selfless says, doing well, learning Houdini. Houdini, how's that coming along, Selfless? I don't think I've ever used Houdini. I've used Cinema 4D, I've dabbled with Maya, but not a lot, because I use Macs, but I don't think I've ever played with Houdini. Are you liking it? I need to push down the height on this as well. I must remember to do that. Actually, I'll do that right now. Because if I don't, I'll forget. I know what I'm like. It's actually the height on this one, I think. I'm just going to, pardon me for a second. I got something sort of like a tickle in my throat, something stuck in my throat this morning. I don't know what it is. No, like, I'm not coming down with a cold or anything. I just felt like I got something stuck in my throat. I'm just going to pull back here on the height range because I don't want it to be quite so bumpy. There we go. Now it's better. Smoker says, I've heard Houdini is going to be the new hotness. Where'd you hear that from? Maybe. Sniper Girl says the Smurper can see that now that they used it quite a bit in Spider-Man due to its modular building design that it's capable of. So it's going to be the hot new thing to be using Houdini, hey? And Selfless is getting ahead of the curve. It's a good thing to know different programs. I've never discouraged any of you guys and girls from just using one program and not using many. All I've ever said is don't make sure you know one really well before you start learning others. So pick one, learn it well, and then start learning other stuff that you can add to your portfolio and your skill set and all that sort of thing. Because you don't want to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. But I wasn't aware they used it on Spider-Man, but then I haven't watched the Spider-Man movies, so I don't keep up with Spider-Man. Smurfberry says, I heard it from the nerds using it for procedural and model damage and stuff. Rocks, cinder blocks. Okay, cool. Who's the company that makes Houdini? Do you guys know? What's the name of the company? Is it just called Houdini, or like, you know, Autodesk is Max and Maya, and New Tech and stuff is Sniper Girl says Spider-Man PS4 game. Selfless says yes, Houdini is great. Learning curve is Mount Kilimanjaro. Currently deving procedural landscape for UE4 via Houdini engine on 422 side effects. So you're deving the procedural landscape for UE4 via Houdini. Okay, cool. And they're based in Toronto, Smurfberry says, and the company I'm assuming is called Side Effects. Okay. ICMZ, good to see you, ICMZ. Did you have a good weekend, buddy? ICMZ says, hey, afternoon, evening. Yeah, my day's been good. It's still early morning here. Yeah, you guys in the US where it's like late, or you guys in Europe where it's like early hours of the morning. For me, it's like before midday. It's only like 11 o'clock in the morning here. So my day's just begun, as they say. But I'm good. My weekend was good. Working. As usual on the weekend. I'm doing some web development stuff as well at the moment. So that's a nice break from me from 3D. I still do 3D work for the studio over the weekends, but I've been doing my own web development stuff. So that's it's been a nice distraction. A change is always nice. That's why I made those chibis, because I got sick of modeling realistic stuff. So I made the Phildo chibis, and I'm doing some, like I said, some web development stuff at the moment for the actual game that we're going to be making. I'll talk about it when I've got it finished. I don't want to send you guys and girls off to look at something that's not finished yet. So when it's finished, I'll talk about it then, and we can look at it. Sniper Girl says, going from the GTC video, they basically had modular pieces and had Houdini select the pieces. Okay. That's an interesting way to go. Modular pieces with Houdini selecting them. Procedural is the buzzword at the moment because, well, particularly at the moment, it saves artists a lot of time, saves studios a lot of time. If you can use a procedural to get something done as opposed to having an artist doing it by hand. I still like doing stuff by hand. I think over-relying on procedural generation can sometimes be a mistake. I'm not saying it's not good. It is good, particularly for things like, well, obviously what it was used for in Spider-Man, but over-reliance on it can start to look not good. My English real good. You guys know what I mean. Sniper Girl says this video is a good watch. We'll post a link in Discord. Let me have a look. Let's check this video out. I will mute any audio simply because I don't want to infringe on other people's copyright. And I don't want to get strikes against my Twitch or YouTube accounts because, as you know, everything I put on Twitch goes up to YouTube eventually. Oh, good. It's already muted. So what are we looking at here? Oh, okay. This is a long video, guys and girls, so you may want to have a look at this in your own time. I think we won't waste 40 minutes of the stream listening and watching this video. It does look really interesting though, from what I can see here, glancing through the shots that they're putting online. Okay, I see what they're doing. Yeah, very cool. Check that out. ICMZ says, morning, I should have guessed better. Weekend was good, got some modelling in and just trying to learn the new methods of hard surface modelling. What are the new methods we're talking about here? Am I behind the curve already? I'm doing my hard surface stuff. It gets back to what I was telling you guys before. There's a half a dozen ways to get the same job done in 3D. Half a dozen different ways to get the same result. Everybody has their own special way of doing something. Smokery says procedural is good for laying the base down. Oh yeah, that's true. For laying the base down or for filling in the space between your crafted assets and spaces. That's very true, Smokery. That is correct. I've been schooled. Smokery has spoken, and he is completely correct. It is very good for that. My point was just that some developers tend to rely on it too much. Like they don't rely on the hand placing, the hand crafting. They just think I'll throw a procedural down, and that'll take care of the problem for me. And that's where it can just not look right or good if they take that approach. But taking the approach that you've just suggested there, Smokery, where you use a procedural just to fill in the spaces in between, or you use a procedural even just as an initial layout, and then you go in and by hand make the space look more unique. Similar sort of thing here with Substance Painter. You know how you have your you've got your smart masks. Smart masks are good, but unless you go in and make alterations by hand, they just everything looks the same. Everyone's work looks the same, and that's because you've been lazy and you've just hit a smart you've just dragged a smart material down and done nothing with it. Which, like the example I've given before is that game Mass Effect Andromeda. They did that. Whoever did the costuming, texturing for the spacesuits for the power armor or the armor or whatever, didn't just relied on procedurals, didn't do it by hand, and everyone's all the damage on all of those suits looked identical. No, I don't know if that was because of a deadline or something. They couldn't do it by hand. I guess there are reasons that happen when you're developing a game where you've just you're pushed for time. But come on, the Mass Effect series, the Andromeda series, that was a well-known series. You'd think you give your devs a bit of time to work on that properly. Smokery says, just know where to fit in the process. Yeah, procedural animations. Sniper Girl says, yeah, but most of the buildings in Spider-Man PS4 were done by procedural, which was important due to the procedural design, also helped push the quests. ICMZ says, well, a popular one is using, is that Moe? Moe 3D Fusion 360, especially for film. But I was focused on high poly modeling. Sniper Girl says, you had to bring up, I know I mentioned it I mention bloody Mass Effect all the time, don't I? I'm just going to do the same distressing to the bottom of the column here. And I haven't played it myself, but I've watched a Let's Play of it. So not only do I constantly mention Mass Effect, but I haven't even played the game. I've only watched somebody else play it. I haven't played any of the Mass Effect games. I do like a game with a good story, and the Mass Effect games generally have a good story, but I don't know. The gameplay's never really grabbed me. The Mass Effect gameplay. Let's take out a bit there. Sniper Girl says, I'm extremely worried about Dragon Age. Next one is going to be so bad. That'll be a shame, because again, that's another classic game, Dragon Age. It's because these publishers, I guess they get greedy, and they want the stuff like too quickly. They don't give the devs enough time to actually do a good job. I see that happening quite a lot now. Understandable from a publisher's point of view, because you know they're funding the game, so they want it as soon as possible so they can start making some money back. But it's never a good thing for creativity or for a good game if it's being rushed. I've never heard of a good game, a rushed game being a good game. And for really well-known IP like Dragon Age or like Mass Effect, it destroys their IP. I could lay the same charge at Ubisoft with the I've got it down, Assassin's Creed series. They push too many of them out. They push them out too quickly. They end up just ruining the good name of their IP. Yes, thank you, EA. We all know about EA and how bad they are, Sniper Girl. Smurfberry says BioWare died years ago, except this. Sniper Girl says, before Anthem came out, BioWare was working on a version of Dragon Age that was shorter than the previous one, but was focused on more player choice. After Anthem came out, that project was killed off and EA forced BioWare to make one that was more live service. The devs are now calling it Anthem with Dragons. That sounds terrible. ICMZ says, yeah, Assassin's Creed ended for me on part 2. Yeah, they did. They just wanted to start making more money, so they started pushing out more and more Assassin's Creed games. Which just ruined the IP. It just ruins it. You know, you might make, as you know, the publisher or the dev might make more money in the short term. But they're going to kill off any future sales of any new stuff using that IP because people just don't want to be suckered in again. That, you know. That's what happened with me in the, Watch Dogs, the first Watch Dogs game. I bought that. It wasn't what they said it would be. They released Watch Dogs 2, but I didn't touch it with a barge pole. I would not. They did their damage with me with Watch Dogs 1, so I didn't trust them again, and I won't. I don't care what the reviews are like. If they burn me on a game, I won't be playing that series of theirs again. I won't be burnt twice. Burn me once, shame on me. Burn me twice. No, burn me once, shame on you. Burn me twice, shame on me. Grizzly Alaskan, good to see you, Grizzly Alaskan, says, is Mari your top pick for texturing, and if so, why? I'm actually using Substance Painter here at the moment. Mari generally is because I like the interface and I like the fact that I can create really large textures in Mari. You're probably looking at my events list where it says I'm using Mari at the moment. I'm behind schedule on my events. I'm still in the Substance Painter texturing stage before I jump into Mari. So yeah, number one, I like the interface. Number two, I can use really large textures. Like there is no limit on the texture size. Only the memory in my computer is the limit. Number three, I like the fact that doing hand painting of textures makes them look more unique. My argument of Substance Painter here has been that everyone's textures tend to look the same because everyone uses the same substances and the same smart masks and all that sort of stuff. So they're the main reasons I really like Mari. And I'm used to using Mari when I used to work in film. Substance Painter is good for game. It's good for ArchViz and stuff as well, but It's particularly good for game modeling, doing PBR texturing for game modeling. But I just like the hand. I like doing stuff by hand with the tablet, and I like painting by hand. So that's why I like Mari. Even though you see me painting by hand here now, it's not the same. But Grizzly Alaskan, that's why I like Mari, and that's why I'll be using Mari soon, as soon as we finish doing the stuff in Substance Painter. Mercury says, I never played the first Watch Dogs. The second one was just okay. Yeah, no, I bought the first one and played half of it, and then was disgusted with it and put it down and never played the rest of it. But I've never played the second one. And I won't. Like I said, they burnt me on the first one. Sniper Girl says, I honestly like Watch Dogs 2 better than the first one in my opinion. Well, no, I've heard that. I've heard number 2 is supposed to be better than number 1. But that's not hard when number 1 was so terrible. It just wasn't what they promised as well. Like, when they did the reveal at E3, it looked nothing like the reveal that they did, and that pissed me off. That was my reasoning for one of the reasons for not liking Watch. That and the mechanics. The mechanics were a bit clunky as well. The gameplay mechanics. But I have heard number 2 is much better than number 1. But they get no second chances with me, I'm afraid. So, no, I won't be buying number 2. ICMZ says Mari is great, but Substance Painter has been slowly getting better. Don't know how it will go now that Adobe owns it. The only big difference between the two is the price of the software. Well, there are other differences as well. I wouldn't say just the price. But they do similar things, no doubt at all. But I still do like Mari. Maybe because I'm more used to Mari. I've used Mari for a lot longer than I've used Substance Painter. And I just feel like I'm making more art when I'm using Mari than I do in Substance Painter. And I think it's because of the substances. I think that's the reason why I feel cheated in Painter and why I like Mari more, because I can use my own textures. You can use your own textures in Painter as well, don't get me wrong. People generally don't though, they tend to use substances. That's the whole reason it was made. So I like Mari. Grizzly Alaskan says, I've been using Blender only, but I'm looking to step out of the box and try Mari, Substance and Quixel. Well, there's a few guys and girls on the chat there that are big fans of Quixel. All good things to try, Mari, Substance and Quixel. Mari, there's a free license of Mari, so you don't have to spend a cent. And if you're not making things commercially, it's fully featured. Apart from, I think they give you there might be a texture limitation. Like, I don't know if you can save out textures bigger than 4K. I think it might be. Don't quote me. I'm not sure. But that version is completely free of Mari. You don't have to spend a cent. So definitely give Mari a try. Not that the subscription costs for Substance are that bad either. They're pretty reasonable. But I just thought I wanted to mention that you can download and use Mari completely free of charge. You can't make anything commercially with it, I don't think. And I think the limitation is no larger than 4K textures. But you don't need, particularly if you're doing game stuff, you don't want more than 4K in a texture anyway, generally. And Quixel I don't think I've ever played with. So I can't really talk to Quixel, but I have heard good things. Sniper Girl says, know what sucks about Watch Dogs 1? All the stuff that was in the E3 video was accessible in the PC version, required people to edit a few files. They downgraded it on PC So it wouldn't look better than the console version, and that's the reason I would never buy another Watch Dogs game. Or I mean, you know, I'm very wary. That stinks. And I did read that at the time, that they dumbed it down on the PC so that it didn't look bad compared to so the consoles didn't look bad. That sucks. I'm a PC gamer. Don't dumb down my game artificially. You don't have that right. That is my right. If I want to dumb it down, then I'll dumb it down through my settings. Don't you do it for me. Yeah, so that's the reason. That's what pissed me off. The E3 trailer, they dumbed it. Well, it did not look like the E3 trailer because, as Sniper Girl says, they dumbed it down. They made it look worse than it needed to be because of the consoles. And that's dishonest in my opinion when they do shit like that. Pardon my French. Yeah, I don't like it. Don't like it. Didn't appreciate it. Don't like it. But as Sniper Girl pointed out, there were ways to turn it all back on again. But that wasn't the only problem with the game. The game had other problems. Like I said, the game mechanics and stuff, the driving was terrible. If you drove a car in that game, it was terrible. The controls, it was shocking. So yeah, it had other problems. Watch Dogs 1. Not just the graphics. Pardon me. ICMC says, yeah, 8K or 16K, I don't even think you can see the difference. Yeah, and remember now, you can use UDIMs as well, so you don't have to keep upping your texture resolution. If you just throw more than, you know, if you start modeling with UDIMs, then you can get around having to have really big textures that way as well, and still keep a nice quality on the model. And Substance Painter you can use UDIMs in Substance Painter now, I believe, so we're not using them for this project, but you can. And of course Mari, that's always been available in Mari UDIMs. I don't believe game engines you can use UDIMs, so yeah. They probably will put them into a game engine eventually. They probably haven't, again, for draw calls and stuff. It's probably been the reason they haven't worried about putting UDIMs in real-time game engines yet. Sniper Girl says, what's this video? What's this video, Sniper Girl? Let me have a look. Thank you, Selfless One, for following the channel, and Iggy, thank you as well, Iggy, for following Phil Does 3D. I do appreciate it, guys, when you follow the channel, so thank you both. I'm just going to check out this link that Sniper Girl's popped into chat. That's the one I want. What are we looking at here? What link are you posting here, Sniper Girl? Watch Dogs, the worst mod 1.0 versus original. Yeah. Actually, because I actually did make modifications to the game when I first installed it. I did actually throw some mods on it to make it look more pretty. It looked like rubbish. So yeah, if you're going to play Watch Dogs 1, there are these mods that you can throw on it now to make it look more like the E3 trailer. Blast from the past, haven't seen those graphics for a while because it's years ago I bought Watch Dogs 1. Smurfberry says Quixel is a bit temperamental because of Adobe. I'm really rooting for them to integrate DDO's features into mixers so that they no longer have to rely on Photoshop. ICMC says I'm waiting for that too. Sniper Girl says comparison on the modded version. All they did was activated a few settings that were already in the game but deactivated. Smurfberry says it's still usable, but that's the Quixel Suite caveat right now. They have some great materials and they've had very nice results. Yeah, and I did throw one of these mods on my game when I was playing it. Yeah, but like I said, it was mechanics as well. The gameplay mechanics, they weren't great in Watch Dogs 1. So that was the other problem. It wasn't just the graphics. It had other problems as well. Okay, I'm going to throw down that darker layer so we can get some two-tone color happening through the gold. And we're going to add another mask here, another paint mask. And we're going to start bringing back some of the lighter gold now so we can get a two-tone color happening. I'm just going to up the size of my brush a little bit. Sniper Girl says, agree with you about the mechanics. Yeah, if you're driving any of those cars in the game, man, it was terrible. Really bad. Really, really bad. Really bad. I don't have to be too precious with this. I'm just bringing back some of the lighter color gold. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm removing some dirt, because that's the mud layer I put on top, like a dirt layer. So just here and there I'm going to bring back some of the gold color, and that'll get a nice glint happening when we do our renders in Eon View on the columns. Murphy's got a link to an ArtStation. All of these except that Photogrammetry to Vector Stencil tutorial are Quixel Suite. Well, there you go, you can check that link out if you want to check out some Quixel stuff. Thank you, Grizzly Alaskan, for the follow, and Blast 3D as well. Thank you both for following the channel, guys. I do appreciate it. I'll just pull back a little bit here so I can get a larger look at it. And we're back to the beginning. Now let's jump down to the bottom one so we can do the same thing here. Smurfberry says I should really do a new plane. That C130 is pretty long in the tooth now. Maybe a C17. We'll do it then, Smurfberry. Make another plane. Smurfberry has a plane on his ArtStation. I think that's what he's referring to. A plane 3D model. You guys hear about the problems with the 737, didn't you? Falling out of the sky because of Boeing's software glitch, which is terrible because lots of people have died. I certainly won't be flying on a 737 anytime soon. If I find out the plane is a 737, I'll be rescheduling my flight for another plane. That and the fact they took so long to admit there was a problem as well. Never good. Just speaking of planes, it popped into my head. I thought I'd mention it. Grizzly Alaskan says, I just looked at your portfolio on your website. Those are incredible. If you're talking to me, Grizzly Alaskan, thank you very much. If you're talking to the other guys, well, I'll take the compliment anyway. I'm glad you like the stuff that I've made. I do my best. I've made some crap though too, trust me. All these guys can tell you. When the original assets for the game, for the cinematic, the game I'm making, they were pretty bad. But I did make them a long time ago in my defense. Sniper Girl says, don't feed Phil's ego. Come on, Sniper Girl, I'm pretty good. No, don't pretend to know everything. I don't think that I'm the best in the world, because I know I'm not. There are people much more talented than me. Mine? Oh, good. I'll take the compliment then. Thank you, Grizzly Alaskan. And that's not all my work though. I've only got like a selection of my stuff on my website or on my ArtStation. Okay, yeah. Sniper Girl says, to me, you know me. I try to go for at least one Phil slap a day. Well, I'm going to give you one back. You get a Phil slap. For giving me the Phil slap, you get the Phil slap, Sniper Girl. Smoker says something just went ding. Was that me or Phil? I don't think it was me. Maybe it was me. I didn't hear a ding. I'm saying it wasn't on my end though. And OBS is all cool, all in the green, as they say. No problems there. Selfless says, no problem, I use Quixel Live link to Houdini before importing to UE4 because I never asset flip. I always try to customize, but sometimes just have to get art done. Well, ain't that the truth? Sometimes you just got to get it done. Particularly when you work in a studio environment. You can't afford to be too precious about your work. Mind you, I still try and do the best work you can. And if I'm being pushed in the studio because of a deadline and I don't think the quality is there, then I will tell them, and I will fight back against releasing just because they want it released. Because I've said to you guys before, it's always quality over quantity. You don't want to ever fall into the trap of thinking that the more quantity, the better. It's always the better quality is better. That's been my motto and it's served me well. And studios I've worked for that haven't followed that motto have not lasted in business. So, but whether that's business or not, it's a good rule of thumb for any of the work you do. You always want to make it the best quality that you can. And don't fall into the trap of thinking, oh, the more stuff I have, the better it is. It's the better quality that makes it better. Just going around just to remove a little bit more of the dirt from under here. I think we're almost back around to the beginning again. And I might just also remove a little bit through the top here. Make my brush a little bigger. I'm not going to go into the middle because that's being covered by the dome, top of the dome. I'm really only interested in doing the edges. because that's all people are going to see in the renders. ICMZ says, great artists always critique themselves the worst. Well, that's true. And they always say it's never finished. But at least that's what I say. It's never done. Like, I know I've been asked before I mentor junior artists at work. And I've had them ask me, how do you know when it's finished or when it's ready or when it's done? My reply is always, it's never finished, it's never ready, and it's never done. It can always be improved, always. And that's probably one of my failings, that I don't tend to want to let something go. I want to keep working on it. That's not good. There does come a time where you've just got to say, okay, fine, it's done. I think we're back around the beginning. Grizzly Alaskan says, my computer isn't good enough for me to do a full scene unless it's real simple. Oh, we'll do a simple scene then. That's okay. Sniper Girl says, do you allow people from your stream to use you as reference if they knew you for a while? What are you referring to there, Sniper Girl? What do you mean? Use me as a reference? Oh, you mean as a written reference? I generally not. No, generally not. Sniper Girl says, good art is just abandoned and never finished. I like that quote. That's a good quote. Just abandoned and never finished. Android Lust says, good to see you, Android Lust says, hi, sorry all, sorry I'm late. It's good to see you. Better late than never, Android Lust. That's okay. How was your weekend? Did you have a good weekend? I just want to make a couple of alterations to the tile work, so I'm just going to jump back into that texture set. Let's find where the tile is that I want to work with. And it's this one here. Is that correct? Yes, that's correct. So I'm just going to add a mask. I'm going to choose a different brush. I might try the heavy sponge. As a job reference, yeah, no. no, I prefer not to. Yeah. Having said that, if you said that you wanted to give me a hand doing some stuff with the game, The House on the Hollow. Of course, any help anyone gives me that I accept, if I accept any help for the house to create the game for The House on the Hollow, they will be added to the credits for the game. So, but no, I don't generally do references. I'm just looking for the right brush. I want something that has a harder edge. I don't want it to have a feathered edge. Let's just try the basic hard. No, I don't really like that brush either. There tend to be brushes I use all the time in Substance, and the dirt brushes in particular I love. Yeah, it doesn't hurt to ask Sniper Girl though. That's it. Andrew Luss says, weekend storms broke my internet. I'm on my phone. Oh no. Thank God for the phone though, hey? Remember, if you're on a mobile device and you're using your data, your mobile data or something, you can there's always transcoding on my stream, so you can knock the quality back so you don't use so much of your data. Or you can put it in audio only mode if you just want to listen to me like a podcast or something. But that sucks, Android Lust. Smepper says, how can you live without internet? I know, it's an essential service, the internet. At least I think it is. It's like the power, the electricity. It's an essential service. And Android Lust says, no internet, no distractions. That's true. Android Lust says, 3D is the answer. Well, there you go. If you can't use the internet, then at least do some 3D. Because if your internet is down, you can't use it. What I'm doing is I'm just removing some of the tile, some of the pattern tile to reveal the underneath. I'm only going to do that here and there. I'm not going to make it too obvious either because I don't want people to notice we're going to be reusing the same texture. So I have to be sort of like a little bit more subtle. Can't go with big removal bits because people will notice it's been repeated. I just wanted to remove a little bit of the tile though from the base of the column. Just going to paint a little bit more in. I think I made that a little bit too big. So let's switch our brush back to black and we can start to bring it back. That's better. And the same here, I might just bring a little bit back. I think it should be good for what we want. Sniper Girl says would kill people without the internet. Android Lost says I'm not cranky yet. If it was gone for like 2 weeks, then I might be more upset. Yes. Well, you guys remember when I started streaming, I used to have 2 different internet connections. One I streamed on and then my normal one. My normal one did actually go down for about 3 weeks, I think it was. And I was climbing the walls. I mean, I had my second connection, my net connection, but that's more of a work thing and I couldn't, and it was, I only got so many gigabytes a month to use on that. So I couldn't really use it as my general everyday internet. And it was bad. I found it very hard. Very, very hard to work. The column 3 new. I should have called column 2, but I made a mistake. Let's rename this material here. And I believe this is the center column, yeah. So call this one column, we'll call it column 3, even though it should be column 2. New matte, and this one we'll call column 3 gold. New column 3 new gold. This is just so when the textures are exported I know what's what. Let's do a save and let's export our textures. We're going to do the main column in 4K and the gold in 2K. Yes. Android Lust says I'm not cranky yet, but if it was 2 weeks. Sniper Girl says, have you guys seen the new Spider-Man Far From Home trailer? I haven't seen it, no. Is it good? Is it a good trailer, Sniper Girl? ICMZ says, imagine something like internet stopped working. It would feel like the 1980s all over again. Yeah, can you imagine the days of the dial-up board modems where, you know, you used to use the phone line to dial up before the days of the internet, I guess? Bulletin boards. Blast from the past indeed. Now let's set up our DirectX shader now. So we have column 1 there, which we've done, column 2 here, which is what we're doing. Android Lost says, I haven't seen the trailer mainly because I haven't seen Avengers. No, I haven't seen Avengers yet either. Part 2, that is. Snappy Girl says to Android Lost, okay, that's good. Trailer does have spoilers. Well, I won't be watching it then because I want to see Avengers as well. Android Lost says, at ICMZ, people would have to go outside. And ICMZ says, oh no, I'd rather not have internet than go back to the dial-up. Yeah, that was painful, the old dial-up days. And Sniper Girl says, yes, but not advised to watch it if you haven't seen Endgame. Well, I haven't seen Endgame, so I won't watch it. Because I do want to watch Endgame. I do want to go and, watch Endgame. Okay, now I need to find column 3 new, that's the one we're working with. We want the column texture. We also want to just make some changes to this DirectX shader. We want to update it with the new textures we just saved out as soon as Max lets me. So we want the normal map. Which is this one. The color map. And metallic. And finally the roughness. That's all set, so that should be good. Let's throw down a new DirectX shader. If I can find it. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. We can get rid of this. We don't need that. We just want the DirectX shader part. And let's change it to an interactive version. Let's load up our normal map. Column 3 new, which will be this one. This is the gold at the top of the column, the color map. I must make sure I set the override to 1 for the gamma. Metallic. And finally the roughness. Okay, now that goes to here, and that goes to here, and we just need to bring in a bitmap so I know what that DirectX shader is, which will go to this texture. Good. Andrew Loss says, a YouTube ad for Spider-Man warns you about spoilers. My ad block is dead thanks to Firefox. Yes, did you guys... I've uninstalled Firefox. I had Firefox installed on my computer here and I was using it on the weekend. I normally use Chrome as my daily driver. But I was using Firefox and a message came up saying all of my extensions had been disabled, my add-ons had been disabled, which was wonderful. Thank you very much, Mozilla. And then I did the trick. They gave you a sort of like a shortcut thing you could do to re-enable them temporarily by going and turning on this feature in the settings under security. So I did that, which brought my extensions back, but then Firefox completely crashed my computer, completely froze it. I couldn't use the mouse, I couldn't use the keyboard, nothing was working. So I had to hard reset the computer. When I got back into the operating system, I uninstalled Firefox and I'm not installing it again. I'm sorry, but no, you fucked me up too much. That ain't going to be happening. So I'm going to stick to Microsoft Edge and Chrome now. The only reason I had Firefox installed was because I'm doing some web development stuff. I like to check it in different browsers to make sure it formats up correctly like it's supposed to. But yeah, no, I was not impressed with Firefox at all. Android Lost says, well, it's currently not a problem since there's no internet. Smurfberry says, Mozilla forgot to pay attention to when their extension signing certificate was going to expire. What does that say about the company? I'm sorry, but come on. Didn't they make it so they wanted more control over their extensions, so they made it so everyone's extension had to be validated against that certificate, and then for them not to notice that the certificate was expiring, therefore all the add-ons were going to stop working. Beggars belief. Beggars belief. Rest in peace, Firefox. Yeah, I'm not going to reinstall it again. I don't trust it. I'm sorry, I just don't. Particularly after the lockup on my computer. I mean, you know, full lockup. Nothing would work. ICMZ says, yeah, something about the certificates. Mine are working fine, but once in a while Twitch just gives me a black screen, but I just close the browser and reopen it. Yeah, well, I'm in no rush to reinstall Firefox. I already did the checking for the web stuff I'm doing at the moment. I know it formats up correctly, so I'm not saying I'll never reinstall it, but I'm very wary about reinstalling it again. Smurfberry says they pushed a fix for it. Yeah, I did read a news item just before I started streaming saying that there was a new version out that had fixed it. Smurfberry says what's even worse is that this exact certificate expiration problem happened like 2 or 3 years ago. What's wrong with these companies? Won't they ever learn? So the same problem has happened twice now. Wow. Sniper Girl says had a similar issue. Add-ons weren't using including AdBlock. Can't go a day without AdBlock now. You get to see just how many ads are out there when you don't have the AdBlock. That's for sure. And they're everywhere. I'm just going to turn the ambient occlusion map off for that one there. We must make sure we turn this on, so we want to use the normal map and the color map and the metallic map and the roughness map. We're not using an emissive, so that's all good. Now we just need to assign this to a couple of columns. So what I'm going to do is, this is the right one. That's the first version for some of the columns. This is the second version for some of the columns. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come through here and select. At the moment, I believe they're all using... No, actually they're not. Okay. Okay, first things first, I'm going to add a couple more lights to the DirectX material. So we'll start by making it unique, and then we'll open up the shader. And we are going to add another light to this, so 2 lights instead of 1. Because we made changes to the default shader, we must export it, otherwise it will lose it when we close down the shader view here, the node view. And we're going to call this one column 3. That's better. Actually, I'm going to add three lights to it because I noticed there's a bit of a shadow happening. So let's just add one more light. This is nothing to do with. This is just so we can see it in the viewport, really, more than anything. It won't be exported with the model unless I want to include DirectX shaders as part of the model that I'm for sale. I probably won't. I'm probably just going to have a version that uses standard textures and one that uses V-Ray, or physical materials actually. So I think that's better. Yeah, that's better. We don't have that shadow happening here now. I also just want to check the light. Omni 2, and this one Omni 2. Okay. Now I'm going to make some selections here. So every second column I'm going to sort of select. And that one there. I'm just going to make sure I assign them column 1 texture. And that should leave all the others assigned as the column 2 texture. Again, I'm making a kit bash, that's why we have all those bits and pieces in the background there. Anyone watching and wondering what's going on with all of these terrace pieces? Well, I just wanted to give people the option to add the number of steps that they wanted, so that's what they're for. So that means we're altering up our textures on the column so people won't notice we're reusing the same texture over and over. I might just... No, I won't. I was going to add another Omni light, but I won't. It'll be fine. So I'm just going to check to make sure everything is looking unique. In fact, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to isolate part of this. It'll make it easier for me to work on or to check. Let's deselect, 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 and isolate. I missed a couple of the wrought iron pieces, but that's okay. I'm just checking the textures on the columns more than anything. Select that so it's got something to lock onto. That should be okay. I'm not noticing a pattern. I don't think people will notice, so that's cool. Let's do a quick save so we don't lose what we've done. Alright, so we want to add a bit of gold to these pieces at the top. Now I'm probably going to take these into Mari as well and overpaint them. But before we do that, I want to add more gold to the top of the dome here. So when Max is finished saving out, we'll look at starting to do that. And even like I said, once I've added the gold, I'm probably going to take these pieces here and into Mari and do an overpaint. But I won't do the Mari work until we've finished texturing up the rest of the model in from Substance Painter. Then we'll overpaint bits and pieces that might need it. Okay. So let us isolate this piece here. And I'm going to collapse my stack. Actually go into face mode here. So I can probably come down two, I guess. So I might come down one more. Yeah, that should be good. Okay, I'm going to detach this as a clone. Now I'm going to select that bit we just attached, and I'm going to throw a shell modifier on top of it. Do I not have shell here either? Oh, there it is. Okay. Let's just make some adjustments here. Get into a position where I can see it. I don't want to come too far out. I just want a very thin edge there, so maybe pull it back a little. One more, maybe like that. That should be good. Okay, let's call this what was this called? This was called Dome Ring Lower. So let's call this Dome Ring Lower Gold. Nice and descriptive. Death Ring, that's right, Smurper says, pretty sure that's a death ring. What we're going to do now is I'm going to just assign just a plain texture to this, just temporarily. Just to distinguish it from what it was copied from. Now we're going to send this to Substance Painter. Just send it over, stop complaining. Sniper Echo, it's good to see you, buddy. How are you? Smurpery says it channels the death from the dimension of death. There you go. Death from death. Let's start by baking out our maps here. We'll do them in 2K, doesn't really matter. Sniper Echo says, hope you're all well. I'm well. I hope you're well as well, Sniper Echo. Hope you have a good weekend. Sniper says, just in time for the end. Yes, you are just in time for the end of the stream, because I'm going to be finishing up the stream in any minute. Sniper says, didn't Xena have a death ring like that? Sorry, Sniper Girl says, didn't Xena have a death ring like that? Android Lust says to Sniper, you are super late. You are super late. Euro, you're super late as well, Euro. It's good to see you, Euro. Hope you're well. Hope you had a good weekend, both of you, Sniper and Euro. Yes, you're late. You were late, Euro, and you were late, Sniper. Sniper says to Euro and Sniper girl, Sniper. So what I'm going to do with this ring is, again, I'm just going to, we won't do too much more work on it because I will finish up in a minute, but I'm going to jump into my smart materials that I made, add the gold material that I made. So it's, where is it? Rusty gold, that's the one. We're going to add our rusty gold. Now, normally what I do here with this temple, as a good example, is I'd add more wrought iron work through here. But that's going to really start to push the poly count up because this sort of wrought iron can be quite high poly. We're using quite a bit of it already. I don't want to create a file, even though I'm going to be selling this on my 3D store and it's meant to be rendered, so poly counts aren't so much of a problem. I don't want to make the file size too huge. I don't want it to be like a 10 gigabyte file for people to download to use. If I could, I'd like to add wrought iron through here as well. It would look better. It would look cool. But because I don't want to push the size of the file up too much, I'm just going to keep it plain. I could maybe use an alpha map or something to get some detailing in that way. That would probably work. I could look at doing that at some stage. But for the moment, we're just going to keep it plain. Euro says, I just came up for air. Have been in an IDE all weekend. Now got code streamlined. So one-click generation, working smarter, not harder. That's the way to do it, Euro. Smarter, not harder. Sniper Echo says to Sniper Girl, yeah, I saw them buildings. They look decent. Andrew Last says, we got some hard workers here. We do. They're all hard workers. We're going to... What's the time? Where am I? Let's just do a quick save here so we can pick this up tomorrow, I think. We'll start working on the gold for the top of the rings of this terrace. Temple of the Winds, that's what it is. Call it what it is, Philip. Get it right. I think we might leave it there though for today, guys and girls. Again, I really do want to thank you all for being here and watching. I do appreciate it. I also want to thank again Beck for the subscription, Selfless1 for following the channel, Iggy for the follow, Grizzly Alaskan for the follow, and Blast3D for following as well. Thank you very much, guys. Canu, it's good to see you, Canu. I haven't seen you in ages. I hope you're well. And I am finishing up, but it is good to see you, Canu. I hope you had a good weekend, and I hope I see you in the stream again soon. I'll be back on again tomorrow. So thank you guys and girls for being here. Thank you very much for watching. I will be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific in the United States. You guys and girls have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow. See you guys.